If you're watching this right now, stop what you're doing and really hear me. This isn't coincidence. This isn't random. The fact that you clicked on this video, that these words are reaching you at this exact moment in your journey, this is confirmation of something that's already in motion. Something you've been praying for, crying about, hoping for in the quiet spaces of your life. Someone specific. Not just anyone. Not a fantasy or an idea, but a real person whose soul has been woven into your prayers for longer than you might even realize. I need you to understand something before we go any further. This video isn't about making something happen. This is about revealing what's already happening. Right now, as you're listening to these words, there is a divine orchestration at work that involves you and someone else. And what I'm about to walk you through isn't theory or wishful thinking, it's the spiritual reality of how two people who are meant to find each other are being guided toward the same destination. You know who I'm talking about. The one whose name sits different in your mouth than anyone else's. The one you talk to God about when you're alone. The one who makes you believe in timing, in purpose, in the idea that some connections are written in a language older than words. Maybe you've met them already and circumstances pulled you apart. Maybe you've only seen them from a distance. Maybe you haven't physically encountered them yet, but you feel them, like a promise that hasn't materialized but is absolutely certain. Here's what I need you to know right from the start, they're being led to you. Not eventually. Not if things work out. Not if you become perfect or figure everything out. Right now. In this season. Through a series of divine redirections, closed doors that had to close, opened paths that had to open, internal transformations they don't even fully understand yet, they are being brought to where you are. And this video? This is your final sign. The one you asked for when you prayed last week and said, God, if this is real, show me. The one you needed when doubts started creeping in and you wondered if you were crazy for holding on to hope. The one you've been waiting for when everyone around you said to move on, to be realistic, to stop believing in something that looks impossible from the outside. I want to be clear about something. I don't say, final sign, to create pressure or urgency. I say it because there comes a moment in every spiritual journey where you're given one last confirmation before the breakthrough, one last piece of reassurance before everything you've been believing for steps out of the invisible realm and into your visible reality. You're in that moment. This is that confirmation. Some of you are crying already, and you don't even know why. It's because your spirit recognizes truth before your mind can process it. Something in you just exhaled, just relaxed, just said, finally, someone sees what I've been seeing. You've been holding this hope so privately, so carefully, sometimes wondering if you're delusional for believing that what you feel is real. You're not delusional. You're discerning. You're tapped into something most people miss because they only trust what they can see with their physical eyes. But you've learned to see differently. You've learned to recognize the spiritual movements beneath surface circumstances. You've learned that sometimes the thing that looks like it's falling apart is actually being rearranged. And what you've been sensing about this person, about this connection, about this divine appointment that's coming, you've been sensing correctly. I'm going to walk you through what's happening right now in the invisible realm. I'm going to show you the signs you've been seeing but maybe haven't fully understood. I'm going to reveal what's happening in their world, in their heart, in their path that's bringing them closer to you. And I'm going to help you prepare for what's about to unfold, not with anxiety, not with manipulation, but with peaceful certainty and open-handed readiness. Because here's the thing about divine orchestration, you can't force it, but you can align with it. You can't control it, but you can cooperate with it. You can't rush it, but you can ready yourself for it. And that's what this video is for, to help you recognize what's already in motion so you can step into it with confidence instead of doubt, with clarity instead of confusion, with peace instead of panic. Before we dive deeper, take a breath. I mean it. Physically take a breath right now. Let your shoulders drop. Unclench your jaw. What you're carrying doesn't need to be carried with such tension anymore. The weight of wondering, the exhaustion of hoping, the loneliness of believing in something nobody around you seems to understand, you can set that down now. Not because you're giving up, but because you're about to receive confirmation that will change how you hold this entire situation. If this resonates with you, if something in your chest just recognized itself in these words, leave a heart emoji in the comments. No explanation needed. Just a simple acknowledgement between your soul and what's true. Let's build an agreement in this space, a collective yes to what God is doing, what the universe is arranging, what love is preparing. Let me tell you what's been happening in their world, because you need to understand that while you've been praying, they've been changing. While you've been hoping, they've been growing. While you've been waiting, they've been walking through exactly the experiences that needed to happen to prepare them for what you represent. Over the past several months, they've been going through something. Maybe it looked like chaos from the outside, job changes, relationship endings, geographic moves, friendship shifts, internal breakdowns that led to breakthroughs. But what was really happening was a divine dismantling of everything that wasn't aligned with their next chapter. Everything that wasn't authentic to who they're becoming. Everything that would have kept them from recognizing you when you finally come together. They've been in a season of stripping away. Not as punishment, but as preparation. You can't carry old baggage into new blessings. You can't bring old patterns into new purposes. And they've been learning this in ways that were sometimes painful, often confusing, but always necessary. They've been losing people who weren't meant to stay. They've been releasing situations that felt comfortable but weren't actually healthy. They've been confronting parts of themselves they've avoided for years. And here's what you need to understand, every single thing they've been through has been positioning them to appreciate what you bring. To recognize what you are. To be ready for the kind of connection you're capable of creating together. Think about it. If they had met you a year ago, before all this transformation, they wouldn't have been ready. They would have had walls up you couldn't penetrate. They would have had fears that would have sabotaged what you're building. They would have had patterns that would have hurt you. So the divine held you apart, not to keep you separated, but to do the necessary work in both of you that makes your coming together sustainable instead of just exciting. You've been wondering why it's taken so long. Why the timing has felt so drawn out. Why every time it seemed like you were about to connect, something got in the way. Now you can see it, those weren't barriers. Those were incubation periods. Seasons of becoming. Moments of preparation that look like delay but are actually divine protection and perfect timing. Because what you're about to experience with this person isn't a surface connection. It's not a casual encounter that flames out after the initial excitement. This is a soul-level meeting. A purpose partnership. A divine appointment that will shift the trajectory of both your lives. And encounters of that magnitude require preparation of equal magnitude. Right now, in their day-to-day life, they're experiencing something they can't quite name. There's a restlessness that's not anxiety. A sense of anticipation that's not attached to anything specific they can point to. They'll be going about their normal routine, working, cooking dinner, talking with friends, and suddenly they'll feel this pull. This sense that something significant is approaching. Something they've been waiting for without fully knowing they've been waiting. They catch themselves staring out windows more often, lost in thoughts they can't quite articulate. They're more reflective than usual. More aware of what's missing, but also more hopeful about what might be coming. They're noticing patterns in their life they never paid attention to before. Recognizing cycles they're finally ready to break. Seeing clearly for the first time how certain relationships or situations never quite fit, and understanding that the misfit wasn't failure, it was confirmation that something else was meant for them. When they're alone with their thoughts, your energy visits them. They don't know it's you specifically, not yet. But they feel something. Someone. A presence in their prayers that doesn't have a face but has a feeling. They've been asking God, the universe, their higher power, whatever language they use, for something real. Something deep. Someone who sees them fully and doesn't run from what they see. Someone who matches their depth, their intensity, their capacity for authentic connection. And that prayer. It's describing you. They just don't know your name yet. There are moments when they'll be scrolling through social media or walking through a bookstore or having a conversation with a friend, and something will trigger this sense of recognition. Like they just remembered something they forgot. Like they just caught a glimpse of something just beyond their conscious awareness. They might see someone who reminds them of what they imagine you'd be like, not physically necessarily, but energetically. And their heart will skip. Their breath will catch. They'll think, that felt significant, without understanding why. These aren't random moments. These are spiritual GPS coordinates. These are their soul sending up flares, saying, I'm looking for you. Where are you? I'm ready now. And your soul has been sending the same signals. That's why there's this magnetic pull between you that exists before you've even properly connected. That's why when you finally do come together, it won't feel like meeting someone new, it'll feel like finding someone who was always supposed to be there. Don't go anywhere, because what I'm about to reveal next will help you understand why certain things in your own life have been shifting. There's a reason your friendships have been changing. There's a reason old relationships don't fit anymore. There's a reason you've been feeling this pull to level up, to heal deeper, to become more authentically yourself. It's all connected to this. It's all preparation. And when you see how perfectly orchestrated this has been, you'll understand why the wait was necessary. If you're starting to see the bigger picture here, if this is connecting dots you couldn't connect before, type, I see it now, in the comments. Let's acknowledge together what's being revealed. Let's speak into existence what's already happening in the spiritual realm. Your words have power. Your agreement matters. When you declare what you're beginning to understand, you're aligning yourself with the divine timing that's already unfolding. Now I need to take you deeper into what's happening, because there are layers to this that most people miss. This isn't just about two people eventually meeting. This is about divine choreography, about how the universe moves pieces on a board you can't fully see to create collisions that change everything. Let's talk about the redirections that have been happening. In their life and in yours. Redirections are when something you wanted doesn't work out, and at the time it feels like rejection or failure or bad timing. But what's really happening is you're being turned away from a path that would have taken you away from your divine appointments. You're being steered back toward alignment, even when it doesn't feel like steering, it feels like stumbling. Think about the relationship that ended last year, or 2 years ago, or 5 years ago. The one you thought was it. The one you poured yourself into. The one you believed was your forever. When it fell apart, it devastated you. You couldn't understand why something that felt so right could go so wrong. You prayed for restoration. You hoped for reconciliation. You held on longer than you probably should have because letting go felt like giving up on love itself. But what if that ending wasn't the death of your love story, it was the protection of it? What if that person had to exit so you'd be available when the right person arrived? What if staying in that relationship would have meant missing this one? Not because that person was bad or wrong, but because they weren't yours. They were a teacher. A mirror. A chapter. But not the book. The same has been true for them. They've had relationships that taught them what they don't want. Connections that showed them what they're not willing to settle for anymore. Experiences that broke them open so they could be put back together differently, in a configuration that fits with you. Every heartbreak has been a course correction. Every disappointment has been a redirection. Every loss has been a clearing. Making space. Preparing ground. Getting you both ready for a kind of love that only works if you've done the internal work to sustain it. And here's something that's going to shift your perspective, those moments when you felt most alone. When you were crying in your car or lying awake in the middle of the night wondering if anyone would ever truly see you. They were having those same moments. Maybe not at the exact same time, but in the same season. You've been walking parallel paths toward the same intersection, feeling isolated in your journey, not knowing someone else was going through their own transformation that would eventually lead them to you. There's a spiritual principle at play here that most people don't understand. Before divine connections manifest, there's a season of solitude. A time when you're pulled away from everything familiar so you can do deep work without distraction. So you can hear clearly without noise. So you can become fully who you need to be without the influence of people who know you as who you used to be. You've been in that season. So have they. And what's happening now is you're both coming out of it. The solitude is completing. The internal work is reaching a plateau where you're stable enough in your new identity to bring someone else into it without losing yourself. You're solid enough in your healing that you can be intimate without being codependent. You're clear enough in your worth that you can love without begging for validation. This is why the timing is now. Not because the calendar hit a certain date, but because the internal work hit a certain level. In both of you. Simultaneously. Which, if you think about it, is pretty miraculous. What are the odds that two people who are meant for each other would both be ready at the same time? Unless something beyond both of you is coordinating it. Let me tell you what's been happening in the spiritual realm, because there's an invisible reality that's just as real as the physical one you can see. In the invisible realm, pathways have been aligning. Divine assignments have been activated. Angels, or guides, or ancestors, or however you understand spiritual support, have been working overtime to orchestrate circumstances, arrange encounters, open doors, and close others. There have been prayers going up from both of you that have created a spiritual resonance. Like two tuning forks vibrating at the same frequency. Your prayers have been heard. Their prayers have been heard. And the answer to both prayers is the same, each other. But the answer couldn't come until both of you were asking the right questions. Until both of you were praying from a place of readiness instead of desperation. Until both of you were seeking partnership instead of rescue. You're not the same person who started praying for this connection. You've evolved. You've matured. You've healed in ways you didn't even know you needed to heal. You've released people and patterns and beliefs that would have contaminated this blessing. You've done the work. Maybe not perfectly, but sincerely. And sincere effort is what God honors. Genuine heart is what the universe responds to. They've been going through their own version of this transformation, and part of what's been happening is they've been becoming someone capable of seeing you. Really seeing you. Not just your surface, your smile, your sense of humor, your physical presence, but your depth. Your heart. Your spirit. The parts of you that most people never access because they don't know how to navigate that kind of intimacy. What you have to offer requires someone who's done their own work. You can't give depth to someone who only operates on the surface. You can't give loyalty to someone who doesn't value consistency. You can't give authentic love to someone who's still playing games. So they've been stripped of the game playing. They've been humbled out of the surface level living. They've been broken open to their own depth so they can recognize and honor yours. And let me tell you something about the signs you've been seeing, because you have been seeing them. Maybe you've been dismissing them as wishful thinking or projection, but they're real. When you keep seeing their name pop up in random places. When you keep hearing songs that remind you of them or what you imagine with them. When you keep having dreams that feel more like memories than fantasies. When you keep running into things, articles, conversations, movie scenes, that mirror what you've been feeling about this connection. Those aren't coincidences. Those are confirmations. The spiritual realm speaking to your physical reality, saying, what you're sensing is accurate. What you're hoping for is already set in motion. Don't dismiss what you're discerning. There's a reason you can't stop thinking about them, even when you try to distract yourself or focus on other things. It's not obsession. It's not unhealthy attachment. It's spiritual recognition. Your soul knows what your mind is still trying to rationalize. Your spirit sees what your eyes haven't witnessed yet. And that knowing, that seeing, creates this constant awareness. This background hum of anticipation that colors everything you do. They're experiencing their own version of this. They might not know it's about you specifically yet, but they feel something coming. Someone approaching. A shift in their relational atmosphere that they can't explain but can't deny. They've been more open lately. More available emotionally. More willing to believe that something good could actually happen in their love life after everything they've been through. That openness? That's not random either. That's divine preparation. That's their heart being softened, their walls being lowered, their readiness being activated. Because you can't receive a blessing if your hands are still full of the past. You can't recognize new if you're still clutching old. They've been letting go. Making space. Getting ready. Stay with me here, because we're building to something important. What I'm about to share next is going to help you understand what your role is in this divine orchestration. Because you're not passive in this. You're not just waiting for something to happen to you. You're an active participant in a spiritual process, and understanding how to align with what's already in motion will change everything about how you move through these final days of waiting. If something just shifted in you, if you just felt a wave of emotion or a surge of hope or a release of tension you've been holding, acknowledge it. Drop a word in the comments that captures what you're feeling right now. One word. Whatever comes to you first. Let's create a collective energy of recognition and agreement in this space. Here's what you need to understand about divine timing that most people miss. It's not about waiting for some arbitrary moment when the stars align or when you've suffered enough or when you've proven yourself worthy. Divine timing is about readiness. About capacity. About both people reaching a level of internal development where they can sustain what they're about to experience. And you're ready now. They're ready now. This is why this is your final sign. Because the waiting season is complete. The preparation phase is finished. What's coming next isn't more delay, it's divine delivery. Let me break down what being led directly to you actually means, because I need you to understand the mechanics of how this works. It's not that they're going to wake up one morning with your address downloaded into their brain. It's not that some cosmic GPS is going to physically drag them to your location. The way divine orchestration works is through natural circumstances that are supernaturally arranged. It means they're being placed in environments where you'll naturally cross paths. It means they're being given opportunities that will connect them to your circle. It means they're being moved, through job changes, through friendship connections, through random invitations, through seemingly mundane decisions, into proximity with you. They're being led, but it looks like living. It looks like normal life unfolding, except every detail is intentionally designed to bring you together. Maybe they're going to start going to a coffee shop you frequent. Maybe they're going to join a group or organization or online community you're part of. Maybe they're going to become friends with someone who knows you. Maybe they're going to move into your city, your neighborhood, your building. Maybe they're already in your life in some peripheral way and circumstances are about to shift that brings you from orbit to center. The how doesn't matter as much as the certainty that it's happening. You don't need to know the exact mechanism. You just need to trust the orchestration. Your job isn't to figure out how it's going to happen. Your job is to be ready when it does. And being ready doesn't mean being perfect. It doesn't mean having your entire life together or looking a certain way or achieving certain milestones. Being ready means being open. Being available. Being present in your own life instead of living in the future or the past. Being grounded in who you are so that when they show up, you're not performing or pretending, you're just being authentically yourself, and that authenticity is what they're going to recognize and be drawn to. There's something happening in the invisible realm right now that I need you to be aware of. There's a spiritual acceleration taking place. Things that would have taken years to unfold are happening in months. Connections that would have taken chance encounter after chance encounter are happening through single divine appointments. The timeline is compressing because the season is shifting. You know how sometimes everything feels slow and stuck and you can't seem to get any momentum. And then suddenly everything starts happening at once. You're entering the everything at once phase. After a long season of waiting and internal work and seeming stagnation, you're about to experience rapid movement. And one of those movements is this person entering your visible reality. What you've been feeling in your spirit lately, that sense of something building, something approaching, something about to break through, that's not imagination. That's not wishful thinking. That's discernment. That's you picking up on spiritual movement before it manifests physically. Your spirit is always ahead of your circumstances. It sees what's coming before it arrives. And what it's been showing you about this connection, about this person, about this divine appointment, it's been showing you accurately. Now let me address the doubt that tries to creep in, because I know it does. Even as you're reading this and feeling hope rise and sensing that this is true, there's a part of you that's scared to believe it. A part that says, what if I'm wrong? What if I'm setting myself up for disappointment? What if this is just another thing I hoped for that doesn't happen? I need you to hear me on this. Faith and doubt can coexist. Hope and fear can occupy the same space. You don't have to have perfect certainty to move forward. You don't have to silence every question to say yes to what God is doing. You just have to be willing. Willing to believe. Willing to stay open. Willing to trust that what you've been sensing isn't delusion, it's discernment. The enemy of your breakthrough isn't doubt. It's cynicism. It's the decision to close your heart to protect yourself from disappointment. It's the choice to stop believing because believing has hurt before. Don't let past pain steal present promise. Don't let old disappointments blind you to new divine appointments. What happened before doesn't determine what happens next. You're in a different season now. You're a different person now. They're a different person now. And what's about to happen is different than anything you've experienced before. Here's a truth that's going to anchor you. The reason this feels different than anything else you felt before is because it is different. Your spirit knows the difference between fantasy and reality. Between wanting something and being shown something. Between projection and revelation. If this was just wishful thinking, it wouldn't have this consistent, persistent quality. It wouldn't keep showing up in your prayers and your dreams and your knowing. It wouldn't have survived all the times you tried to let it go or move on or focus on something else. What's real endures. What's divine persists. What's meant for you doesn't leave you, even when you try to walk away from it. That's how you know this isn't something you're manufacturing, it's something you're receiving. This connection, this person, this divine appointment has been downloaded into your spirit, and no amount of logic or skepticism or fear has been able to delete it. Because it's not yours to delete. It's God's to deliver. Let me tell you what's about to shift in your life as this comes closer to manifestation. You're going to notice an increase in peace. Not the peace of resignation or giving up, but the peace of knowing. The peace that comes from certainty that what you've been hoping for is actually on its way. That anxious energy you've been carrying, the constant wondering, the exhausting hoping, the fear that it might not happen, that's going to start dissolving. You're going to find yourself able to breathe deeper. Smile easier. Trust more naturally. You're also going to notice an increase in synchronicities. Things lining up that seem too perfect to be random. Conversations happening at exactly the right time. Resources appearing just when you need them. Doors opening that move you into position. These aren't lucky breaks. These are divine coordinates. These are the universe confirming that you're on the right path and everything is aligning exactly as it should. And you're going to notice changes in how you think about them and this connection. You'll move from desperate hoping to peaceful knowing. From anxious anticipation to calm certainty. From, please let this happen, to, I know this is happening. That shift in your internal posture is evidence that your faith is maturing. That you're moving from petition to position. From asking to receiving. This next part is crucial, so pay close attention. What's about to unfold is going to require something from you that you might not expect. You're going to need to trust the process even when it doesn't look like what you imagined. The way you meet might not be the romantic movie scenario you pictured. The timing might feel too soon or too late based on your preferences. The circumstances might feel ordinary when you expected extraordinary. But here's what you need to know, divine appointments rarely happen the way we script them in our minds. They happen better. They happen in ways that include details and considerations and dimensions we couldn't have planned because we don't see what God sees. We don't know what they need. We don't know what we need. But the divine orchestration does, and it arranges everything perfectly, not according to our fantasy, but according to our faith and their readiness and the highest good of both. So when it happens, and it will happen, don't dismiss it because it doesn't match your expectation. Don't overlook it because it seems too simple or too complicated or too different than what you imagined. Pay attention. Be present. Recognize what's happening. Because this is what you've been praying for. This is who you've been praying about. And they're being led directly to you right now. If your soul just said yes to something you read, if you feel this truth settling into your bones, type, "This is my time," in the comments. Speak it into the atmosphere. Let your words agree with what's already been spoken over your life in the spiritual realm. Your declaration matters. Now we need to talk about how you navigate these final days before this manifests, because how you carry yourself in this waiting to breakthrough transition matters. You're not waiting anymore in the way you were before. You're preparing. You're getting ready. You're positioning yourself to receive what's coming. First, I need you to release the grip. I know that sounds counterintuitive when you're this close, but gripping creates resistance. Gripping comes from fear that if you don't hold on tight enough, it'll slip away. But what's divinely ordained can't slip away. What's meant for you will find you. Your job isn't to control it. Your job is to be available for it. Releasing the grip means you stop obsessively checking for signs. You stop analyzing every dream and every synchronicity and every feeling, trying to calculate exactly when and how this will happen. You stop putting your life on hold waiting for them to appear. You stop declining opportunities or avoiding connections because you're saving yourself for this one person who hasn't shown up yet. Live your life fully right now. Not as distraction. Not as giving up. But as preparation. Because when they arrive, you want to be in the middle of a life you love, not in the middle of a life you've been pausing waiting for them to make it worth living. The energy of someone living fully is magnetic. The energy of someone waiting desperately is repelling. You attract at the frequency you're vibrating at, so vibrate at fullness, not emptiness. Second, clean up your energy field. This is practical spiritual work. Look at your life right now and identify what's cluttering your energy. Old conversations you keep having in your head with people who are no longer in your life. Unforgiveness you're holding on to. Bitterness about past betrayals. Cynicism about love. Self-judgment about why you're not further along. Comparison with other people's relationships or timelines. All of that is energetic clutter, and it creates interference. It makes it harder for you to recognize divine appointments when they happen because you're broadcasting on a frequency of pain rather than possibility. You don't have to be perfectly healed. You don't have to have resolved every issue. But you do need to be willing to release what you can release. To forgive what you can forgive. To let go of what you can let go of. Make space for new by clearing out old. Third, stay in your integrity. This is so important, I need you to really hear it. Don't compromise who you are trying to speed this up or make yourself more appealing. Don't dumb down your depth. Don't hide your intensity. Don't soften your standards. Don't pretend to be less than you are or different than you are because you think that's what they'll want. What's meant for you doesn't require you to diminish yourself to receive it. If this person is truly your divine appointment, they're coming for the real you. The full you. The unedited, authentic, sometimes messy, always sincere you. If you have to perform to get them, you'll have to perform to keep them, and that's not sustainable. That's exhausting. That's not the kind of love you've been praying for. Your authenticity is your calling card. It's the frequency that attracts what's meant for you and repels what isn't. Trust that who you are is not only enough, it's exactly what they need. They're not looking for perfect. They're looking for real. And you're as real as it gets. Fourth, practice gratitude in advance. This is a powerful spiritual principle that most people don't utilize. Start thanking God, the universe, your higher power, whatever language works for you, for this connection now. Not if it happens. Not when it happens. Now. As if it's already done. Because in the spiritual realm, it is already done. It's just making its way to your physical reality. Thank them for being led to you. Thank yourself for staying faithful through the wait. Thank the journey for preparing you. Thank the closed doors that protected you. Thank the heartbreaks that taught you. Thank the loneliness that deepened you. Thank the hope that sustained you. Gratitude shifts your frequency from lack to abundance. From begging to receiving. From maybe to definitely. Fifth, pay attention to your dreams and your inner knowing in these next weeks. The closer you get to divine appointments, the more active the spiritual downloads become. You might dream about them. You might receive sudden clarity about something you've been confused about. You might feel prompted to go somewhere or do something that seems random but will position you perfectly. Don't dismiss these prompts. Don't talk yourself out of what you're sensing. Don't let logic override intuition. Your spirit knows things your mind doesn't. Your soul sees things your eyes can't. When you get a hit, a feeling, a knowing, a nudge, honor it. Follow it. Trust it. Even if you can't explain it or defend it or make it make sense to anyone else. Sixth, be kind to yourself in the moments when doubt resurfaces. Because it will. Even with everything you know, even with all the confirmation you've received, there will be moments when you wonder if you're crazy. Moments when the wait feels too long. Moments when you're tempted to settle for something less because at least it's something and this is still invisible. In those moments, come back to what you know. Come back to what you've seen. Come back to what's been confirmed again and again and again. Come back to this video. Come back to the knowing in your chest that won't go away no matter how much doubt you entertain. That knowing is your anchor. That knowing is your true north. That knowing is God speaking directly to your spirit, and no amount of fear or impatience can make it untrue. Seventh, prepare practically. I'm serious about this. You want to be ready when this happens. That doesn't mean putting your life on hold, but it does mean living in a way that creates space for someone new to enter. If your schedule is so packed there's no room for someone else, create some margin. If your emotional energy is so depleted from giving to people who don't reciprocate, set some boundaries. If your living space is so cluttered and chaotic, do some clearing. This isn't about being perfect or having everything together. It's about being available. About having capacity. About not being so overwhelmed and overextended that when this person shows up, you're too exhausted to show up for what you're building together. 8. Stay open to how this might unfold. I mentioned this earlier, but it bears repeating. Divine appointments rarely happen exactly how we imagine them. The where, the when, the how, those details might surprise you. What won't surprise you is the recognition. When you meet, whether it's the first time or a re-meeting after time apart, there will be a knowing. A sense of, there you are. A feeling of familiar even if everything else is brand new. Don't get so attached to your script that you miss the actual story God is writing. Be flexible. Be open. Be willing to let it unfold differently than you planned as long as it unfolds truly. The right connection will feel right even if the circumstances are unexpected. Trust that feeling over your preconceived ideas. 9th, protect your peace in these final days. Not everyone deserves to know what you're believing for. Not everyone can hold your hope without crushing it with their cynicism. Not everyone will understand what you're discerning without making you feel foolish for discerning it. Be selective about who you share this with. Keep some things sacred. Keep some things private. Let your inner circle be people who can hold hope with you, not people who will talk you out of what you know. And finally, 10th, remember that you're not doing this alone. There is a divine force orchestrating details you can't see, arranging circumstances you're not aware of, moving pieces on a board that's bigger than your individual life. You're partnering with something infinitely more powerful and infinitely more wise than you are. Your job isn't to make it happen. Your job is to stay aligned with what's already happening. That means staying in faith when it's hard. Staying in hope when it seems foolish. Staying in peace when everything in you wants to panic. Staying in trust when you can't see how it's going to work out. That's your part. And when you do your part, the divine does its part, and what seemed impossible becomes inevitable. These aren't just nice ideas. These are practical spiritual principles that position you to receive what's already coming. This person is being led to you. They're on their way. And you want to be ready, not perfect, but present. Not anxious, but available. Not desperate, but open. If these principles landed with you, if you know this is what you need to be doing in these next days and weeks, type "I'm ready" in the comments. Let that be your declaration. Let that be your agreement with what's unfolding. Let that be your yes to what's already been ordained. So let me bring this home for you, because I need you to walk away from this video with absolute certainty about what's happening and what's about to happen. The one you pray about, the one whose name you speak to God when nobody else is listening, the one you dream about with a clarity that feels more like memory than imagination, the one you've been holding space for even when everyone told you to let go, they're real. This connection is real. This divine appointment is real. And it's happening. Not in some distant future. Not after you've proven yourself worthy or completed some impossible checklist. Not after you've suffered enough or waited long enough. Now. In this season. In this moment of your life where everything you've been through has led you to exactly where you need to be to receive exactly what you've been praying for. I know it's felt long. I know there have been moments when you wondered if you were holding on to something that was never yours to hold. I know there have been nights when you cried yourself to sleep wondering if you were crazy for believing in something you couldn't see. I know there have been days when you almost gave up, almost settled, almost convinced yourself that what you wanted was too much to ask for. But you didn't give up. You didn't settle. You didn't stop believing. And that faithfulness is about to be honored. That hope is about to be vindicated. That prayer is about to be answered. This video finding you right now, at this exact moment in your journey, is not coincidence. This is your confirmation. This is your final sign. This is God saying, I heard you. I saw you. I've been orchestrating everything behind the scenes. And what you've been waiting for is on its way to you right now. The wait has served its purpose. It's refined you. It's revealed what you're really made of. It stripped away what wasn't authentic so what is authentic could emerge. It's taught you what you will and won't settle for. It's deepened your capacity to recognize real when it shows up. It's prepared you to sustain what you're about to receive. And they've been in their own weight. Their own refinement. Their own stripping and deepening and preparing. And now both of you are ready. Both of you are open. Both of you are available. Both of you have reached the level of internal development where you can build something together that isn't just exciting, it's sustainable. It isn't just passionate, it's purposeful. It isn't just romantic, it's real. So what do you do now? You live. You breathe. You trust. You stay present in your own life. You keep healing what needs healing. You keep growing where you're being asked to grow. You keep showing up as authentically yourself. You keep your heart open even when it's scary. You keep your hope alive even when it's hard. You keep your faith active even when you can't see the evidence yet. And you watch. Not anxiously. Not desperately. But attentively. Watch for the signs that have been showing up. Watch for the synchronicities that have been increasing. Watch for the divine orchestration that's been arranging details you couldn't arrange yourself. Watch for them. Because they're coming. They're being led. Directly to you. When you finally come together, whether it's a first meeting or a reunion after time apart, it's going to feel like exhaling after holding your breath for a long time. It's going to feel like coming home to a place you've never been. It's going to feel like recognition and revelation happening simultaneously. You'll look at them and think, there you are, and, finally, and, I knew it, all at the same time. And everything you went through to get to that moment will make sense. Every heartbreak will reveal itself as protection. Every closed door will show itself as redirection. Every lonely night will transform into preparation. Every moment you almost gave up will become evidence of your strength. Every time you chose hope over cynicism, faith over fear, trust over control, all of it will be validated in a single encounter that changes the trajectory of your entire life. This is your final sign because you don't need another one. You've seen enough. You've been shown enough. You've received enough confirmation. Now it's time to move from wondering to knowing. From hoping to receiving. From waiting to welcoming. The one you pray about is being led directly to you. Right now. Today. This week. This month. In this season of your life that's about to shift dramatically from what was to what is. They're coming. And you're ready. So release the anxiety. Drop the desperation. Let go of the control. Step into peaceful certainty. Step into joyful anticipation. Step into open-hearted readiness. What's yours is coming. Who's yours is coming. And nothing, not timing, not distance, not circumstances, not anyone else's doubt or your own moments of fear, nothing can stop what God has ordained. I'm speaking blessing over this connection. I'm speaking protection over this journey. I'm speaking acceleration over this divine timing. I'm speaking clarity over your recognition of them when they arrive. I'm speaking courage over your ability to be authentic and vulnerable when it's time. I'm speaking confirmation over what you've been sensing in your spirit. I'm speaking vindication over the hope you've held on to when nobody else understood. You've been faithful. Now watch God be faithful. You've been believing. Now watch belief become reality. You've been hoping. Now watch hope materialize into a person standing in front of you, looking at you like you're the answer to prayers they've been praying too. This is happening. This is real. This is your time. And this, right here, right now, this video, this moment, this message, this is your final sign. Before you go, I want to thank everyone who has supported this channel with super thanks. Your generosity allows me to keep creating these deep, soul-level messages that meet people exactly where they are. If this video touched something in you, if it confirmed what you've been sensing, if it gave you the hope you needed to keep believing, and you feel led to support this work, the super thanks button is right below. But whether you give or not, you're valued here. Your presence matters. Your story matters. And what's about to unfold in your life matters. One last thing, if you received this message, I mean really received it, felt it land in your spirit, know that this was meant specifically for you, leave one final comment. Simply type, they're on their way to me. Speak it into existence. Let your words create agreement with what's already been spoken over your life in the spiritual realm. Let this comment section be filled with declarations of faith, statements of knowing, agreements with divine timing. You're not alone in this. Look at all these comments from people who are believing the same thing, sensing the same movement, recognizing the same signs. We're all witnessing this together. We're all standing in faith together. We're all about to see what we've been believing for manifest into our physical reality. The one you pray about is being led directly to you. This is your final sign. Receive it. Believe it. Live from it. And get ready, because everything is about to change.